Hey everybody, today I'm going to feature my formal upright juvenile style bald cypress. And I acquired this tree a couple of years ago and I completely changed everything. I took off all the limbs except the first two, which are right here and right here, and all this has grown back. I also completely changed the front, chopped off the old leader and created a new leader, and now I have another new leader here. And as you can see, it is developing beautifully. It is just so beautiful. And it's going to be even more spectacular in another couple of years. My vision for this tree is to have the first two main branches at about an angle like that, and every other branch at that same angle, with space in between, and just really formal tree. I've left some sacrifice branches, so all of these here are sacrifice branches. And, will they add to the thickness of the trunk? Of course they will. Will you ever notice it? That's a good question, because any amount of growth adds to the thickness of a trunk. But I'm not really worried about whether they add, a huge amount of thickness to the trunk. I did take one off right there, and actually it looks like it's resprouting. I took one lower branch because it was coming right at us, so I took that off. The rest, when we prune, I don't think you'll see any of the scars, so I've just left those. As far as the rest of the tree, I pinch this tree every single day. And of course, not perfect, but for the most part, because I always walk my bonsai benches probably 2 or 3 times a day. I do it in the beginning of the day in the morning, and I check for dryness, and typically the first thing in the morning before the sun has really come up, dryness is not that much of an issue, especially in about the past 10 days, because we've been having fantastic rain. So I'm so happy about that. And then I also check for water about noon. And if things look dry, and that's a lot of times about noon, I have what I call indicator trees. So I can go out in my garden, I can go straight to those trees, and I can either check the soil or I can check the plants themselves to see if they have a little bit of wilt. And then I know that probably most everything needs water. So when I'm walking my garden, I just come through past this guy and I just pinch it out. The only thing I'm not pinching are the sacrifice branches. They have been allowed to grow as long as they want. And I had wired this tree in the winter, and so I've been removing that wire lately, and so there's just a little tiny bit of wire left, so I'm going to remove all the rest of the wire. There's really no way to work this tree when it has so much foliage on it. So it'll get, I don't want to call it a restyling, but it will get refined even more in the winter when it's dormant. Because in some places, branching has now split into 2 or 3 where I probably only need 1 and things like that. But right now it's just too complicated to really worry about that stuff. And if we look in the viewfinder, even with that, it's just looking absolutely gorgeous. I think I have a playlist on this guy, so I will leave that at the end of this video. You can watch just how much this dude has transformed. So I'm super happy. And I don't think it's unique, but for a tree this small, it also has 2 knees, which is really quite extraordinary. And then I also have a little tiny wild fern that has struggled mightily since I repotted it, but it's still alive. And I've got a couple more pieces of wire. that I need to find. And I think that's it for the wire. And the wire did its job, not perfectly. And there's a couple of things, I don't want to say issues or problems, but like right here, it looks a little sparse. That's because there's a scar on the trunk, and that scar is never going to produce shoots. So you can see on this side of the trunk, there's all kind of shoots coming off. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Over here, this whole section, nothing. So I brought this up, and then I'm going to wire that down to fill that gap. And there's a lot of, like, this one here is shooting straight up. Now that I can just take off, although it's already become woody enough where I can't do it with my fingers. Very young, supple growth, you can just take off with your fingers. So let me continue to unravel the wire that's left on this tree. And if I'm not mistaken, so back in here we have some very long branches that you really don't see. Because of the rest of the foliage. Oh, there's another piece of wire. All the way in the back. Of course, we still have the thickest piece of wire that was holding down the two main branches. That's also still needs to come off. Okay. Is that it? No, there's actually another piece. Right there. So where's that? Oh, there's... I missed the back. Of course, I was facing the front, so the branches that were wired, that were readily visible, were the ones that I was working on. So yeah, all 3 back branches still have wire. And I'm pretty happy with the results of the wiring because I do not see any cutting into the bark. And yet they have certainly got that horizontal look. Okay, so what do I need to do with this guy? Oh, he was just sitting like that. Okay. So... no more wire. So for the rest of the growing season, and remember, you have to imagine all this stuff gone here. Visually, all that gone. For the rest of the growing season, I will continue to pinch. And that's really about it. And of course, I'm looking and I'm planning and I'm seeing, okay, you know, when it is dormant, I will be taking certain things off. Another thing I want to do is to bring the apex. Now the apex should be bowing towards you a little bit, but I want it to be a little bit higher. Just doing that gives it more majesty. I don't know, just that one little, but I can't do that now because I will hurt all these small branches. So it'll be far, far easier to apply the wire to the new apex when the tree is dormant. But I'm really happy with the results of this guy. It's come so far. And this is by far my best bald cypress. All the other bald cypress I have are 1.5 year old seedlings. So, and a lot of times I talk about how a tree looks really cool when I'm looking at it with my eyeballs, but in the viewfinder, it's kind of, this doesn't look like quite right. But that's not the case with this one. It looks just as nice in the viewfinder as it does to my naked eye. So continue to pinch. I gave it a little bit of fertilizer, but not too much. And then the work of actually choosing more branching. So like this branch here is like shooting way down, and it's also emerged this year. So do I need that? Can I, create more space? What can I do? We've got some growth right here that's shooting straight up through the tree that I could take that off if I had scissors right now. But yeah, it is looking cool. I'm super happy with it. And bald cypress are a swamp plant. They love water. We had a very windy day the other day, and some of my seedling cypress dried out tremendously. And man, I was like, man, it's just, so fast. So if you're growing bald cypress, keep them moist, 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 and then water them again. In fact, there are many people that grow bald cypress submerged in water. I don't like that. I don't want to do that. I don't like to do that. But it's a possibility. Then you're pretty much assured the roots are not going to dry out. So there you go. Bald cypress. And this is called the informal upright juvenile style. And even though he passed away quite a few years ago, 2008, this is inspired by Gary Marchal, who, if you look him up and look at some of his trees in this same style, the formal upright juvenile style, oh man, he's got some trees that will bring emotion to your eyes, man. It's just amazing, amazing, amazing stuff. And like I said, sadly, he passed quite a few years now. But his legacy lives on, and I hope it lives on in this tree here. This is what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to mimic him, because he was a superb bald cypress bonsai artist. So that's it for today. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed yet and you want to watch this guy continue, then please subscribe and hit the notification bell. Leave a comment. Tell me what you think about how this tree has developed. And I will leave the playlist so you can watch just how much this tree has transformed since I acquired it. So other than that, I just want to thank you so much for watching.